Oh, today is gonna be awesome. I feel a very cool montage coming any second now, but today, the DJI FPV drone. Is it the perfect beginner FPV drone? The pros and cons and my take on it coming up right after this. Hey guys, Felix here with Quadcopterguide, and on this channel I help you get the most out of your drones and other camera gear. Today we're talking about the DJI FPV drone, and look, there's been lots of reviews and unboxing, so I won't bore you with all that. Today I want to look at it from two perspectives. From a kind of beginner perspective, maybe you're flying a Mavic, a Spark, and you're looking at getting one of these guys and you want to know an authentic kind of review and not just a review of someone that got it sent for free. I bought this with my own money, so there you go. And also, I have been flying FPV for a little while now, so I think I can give you a good overall picture of this thing, how it is for beginners, how it is for kind of intermediate pilots, and also how it is for the hardcore FPV pilot. All right, it's getting kind of chilly out here and it's getting late. I do have to get back down the mountain to the car. So let's head into the studio and talk about this thing in a little bit more detail. The DJI FPV drone. Tons of features that I personally wish I had on my FPV drone when I was starting out in FPV. You're looking to get into FPV? Why would you choose the DJI FPV drone? Well, for one, it is very beginner friendly. It comes in a ready-to-fly package. There's no soldering, no choosing components, and no configuration and tweaking and headaches of why stuff just doesn't work. Maybe you're used to the DJI ecosystem and, maybe this is your first DJI drone. The free simulator, or also known the DJI Virtual Flight app at the time of this recording on iOS devices, will help you get used to the transmitter and the goggles and how the drone feels without ever putting the drone at risk in the air. That is great for beginners because stick skills and teaching your brain what happens if the drone is in a certain situation, that just takes practice. And if you were to do that without a simulator, sure, there's different modes which we'll get through that can help you with this. Once you get into manual or acro mode, you definitely want to practice first. And with the simulator or the DJI Virtual Flight app, you can do so. Now, there have been reports of some people getting kind of dizzy when flying for the first time or the first couple of times with their FPV drone. The same thing could happen with the simulator. A couple of tips I can give you is when you have the goggles on, try not to move your head around. Your brain gets mixed signals. Your eyes see one thing and your inner ear is reporting something else. And once those things get mismatched, I think that's when people can get dizzy. So try to sit still, sit on your couch at home in your chair when you're using the simulator, and just try not to move your head. Sit comfortably. You don't have to, be uncomfortable, but just try to not move your head when you're flying. Give that a try. Now on the remote, on the mode switch, you've got normal, sport, and manual modes. You definitely want to start out in normal mode, and this applies for the simulator and also when it's time to fly this thing outside for the first time. Normal mode will keep you in a more kind of beginner-friendly mode. The drone is a little bit less agile when flying like this. Your stick deflections are smoothed out a little bit more, and also you have obstacle avoidance on the front and at the bottom of the drone. It's not as exciting and exhilarating as the other modes, but normal mode is where you want to start out at. Once you're comfortable and frankly bored of normal mode and you've practiced a little bit in the simulator, you can switch this puppy to sport mode. Now you get to experience up to 60 miles an hour full forward flight speed, and it is a lot quicker. Now, remember, obstacle avoidance goes out the window the moment you leave normal mode. So keep that in mind. Hey, are you interested in the DJI FPV drone or just the DJI FPV system in general? Then I want to encourage you to check out this link right here. I'll also link it down below. That link will get you to the DJI FPV resource page, which I've created, and on there you can sign up to receive great content and helpful guides that help you get into this thing and do that with the least amount of mistakes as possible. Trust me, if you can learn through my mistakes or other people's mistakes that I've noticed, then that is the cheapest way to get you to where you want to be. So if you want to become proficient at this thing and make really sweet videos with it, I encourage you to check out that page. All right, let's get back to the video. Now let's say you're comfortable in sport mode and it's time to flip the switch to full manual. Well, it's sort of full manual, but manual mode. There's a couple things you have to do in the goggles to truly get into manual, and it, even if you haven't so far, will make you do manual mode in the app before you can do it on the drone. At least that's what it did to me. Please practice on the sim, DJI Virtual Flight app. Practice manual mode. You're gonna thank me later. Yes, there is this fantastic little button here, which I'll get into in a little bit. If you're not ready, going into manual mode, into full manual mode with the restrictions turned off in the goggles, you can get into trouble really quickly. Your time is gonna come, but just take it easy, take it slow. You want this thing to last for a long time. My tip is, make sure you fly the drone high enough, and back in the day we used to call this 3 mistakes high. That way if you make a couple mistakes, you're still above the ground. Now one of the features I wish I had when starting out in FPV that you do get with the DJI FPV quad or drone is this button right here. I don't know if you can see, there's a pause button on here. Officially it's called the flight pause button. You and I are going to know it as the oh crap button. Maybe you are flying around and you got yourself into a situation that is definitely outside your comfort zone, and you know that unless something changes, things are going to end very badly. That is a perfect time, or slightly before then, is a perfect time to hit this button. If you're flying in sport mode, manual mode, you tap this button here. The drone will do its best to stop as quickly as possible, no matter in what flight attitude you are in. And I tested this, I'll show you a couple of clips here in a second. And it'll stabilize the drone, go into a hover, and return to normal mode. So even if you're in manual mode, I can't wait to show you guys that clip, even if you're upside down, you tap this button, it turns around, stops if you're flying very quickly, and returns to a hover, and it does this very fast. And then it goes into normal mode. So even if you're in manual, it goes to normal. To get out of normal, you flip the switch back to normal, and then you can resume flying or switch it back to sport or manual. That feature is going to save your bacon. I can almost guarantee it. So let's take a look at some of those clips of me trying out the oh crap button. So in these first tests, which you're about to see, I'm flying around in sport mode, cruising around the flying field quite quickly, as fast as it can pretty much go in sport mode. And then I hit this button right here, just to see what would happen. I'll show you the outside view in a second, but I'm flying sport mode. The drone tilts back like this, goes full throttle very quickly to brake, and then goes right side up, of course, and just goes into a hover. And the whole time the camera does its best to give you the forward angle so you can see what's going on. That's why when you do that emergency stop, you end up seeing these sensors even sometimes, because it goes like this. It's quite unreal. All right, so sport mode, flying around, right side up. Okay, cool. I would hope that that would work if that was one of the features, right? Let's get into manual mode. Let's get the drone into a crazy attitude. So in this clip, I'm gonna fly. I believe I am doing a roll or two as quickly as it'll go. And as I'm upside down, I hit the button. Check out what happens. So you can see that took a little bit longer than the full speed forward flight attitude to braking maneuver that you saw a second ago. So as I'm going into a full speed roll, you can tell the accelerometer in there, that ball bearing or however they manage it these days, is just slammed into one of the corners from the G-forces. I'm upside down, I hit the button, it flips around. It takes it a second to figure out which way is up. So just make sure that you have enough distance to the ground and whatever object, if you are using that flight pause or oh crap button. As it's right side up, you can tell it does a tiny bit of a wobble, but then very quickly it returns into a hover. Another fantastic feature for beginner FPV pilots and FPV pilots alike is the ability to change the camera angle on the fly. Now, with intermediate style or build your own FPV quads, the camera angle is fixed. So you tighten the 2 or 4 screws to fix the angle of the FPV camera, and that's what it is the whole time until you land and mess around with it some more. Now, for different types of flying, you want different types of angles. If you're flying around slowly or just filming, you don't need the camera to be angled very sharply. You're somewhere between 0 and 15 degrees. Now, whatever type of flying you're doing or filming, on the remote you've got this gimbal dial, and with it you can adjust the angle of the FPV camera or the main camera feed. Now, the DJI FPV drone does a pretty good job of getting the camera horizontal, so that way when you're changing your speed, you see a constant picture, which is important when you're starting out. That's also another cool feature that you do get with the DJI FPV drone. And one of the best times to use that feature of being able to change the camera angle is when it's time to land. What I do personally is I flip the drone back to normal mode when I'm coming into land after a manual mode flight, for example. And to avoid the issue of, man, I don't really know where I'm landing, and there's a couple of tips to improve that further, which I'll cover in another video. But let's say you are in normal mode and you've got your landing pad like the circular one that I use. Well, I get close to it. I use the dial on the remote to change the angle. I aim the camera down. It goes down to minus 50 degrees, so quite a steep angle. And that way I can make sure that when I hold the remote with the throttle down and it does its auto land, I can use the right stick to adjust if I need to, and this thing lands on my landing pad with no problems. Traditional FPV drones, you've got the problem that you've got your camera angle set up, which is perfect for flying around quickly, but when it comes time to land, guess what? You've got that problem. I've seen a couple videos on the net that when people are landing in manual mode, they land and then the drone either bounces or it flips upside down, and you don't want this thing to be a weed whacker, so best practice, flip it to normal mode and just land that way. All right, so let's talk about the performance of this thing. It doesn't matter if you're coming from a DJI camera drone or if you're just coming into this as your first DJI drone, the performance of this thing will put a smile on your face. I can guarantee that. And performance is one of the reasons you want to get into FPV. You want to be able to do those crazy things which you can't do with a regular camera drone. Now check out this clip here. I hover close to the ground and then I give it full throttle in manual mode. Now I have to say it was a very cold day out and I could only get the batteries to a certain temperature, holding them in my sweatshirt pockets before use. So if it's warmer out, I think you're going to get a couple % of even more performance. Now take a look at a couple of these other clips to get a feel for what this DJI FPV drone can do. Now overall, the package with the version 2, the goggles, the new smaller remote control, and of course the drone with the battery, charger, propellers, all that stuff that you need to get going is very compelling. If you want to check that out, then I encourage you to do so, and I've got it linked down in the description below. Now when planning out this video, I didn't expect there to be so many things to touch on, and also honestly a couple things that did bug me. Also looking at it from a kind of experienced FPV viewpoint or angle, there are a couple things that bug me, so if you're from that camp and you have FPV experience, just hang on one second. I'm going to put that into part 2, and when that video is out, I will link it up here and also mention it down in the description below. So do stay tuned for that, and I can't wait to see you guys in that one as well. All right, so now it's your turn. What did you think of my take on the DJI FPV drone? Do let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to get into a great conversation with you guys down there. And also let me know what else you'd like to see covered on this thing. There's all kinds of things we could talk about or cover in more detail, the descent like on the camera, the different settings, how I choose my settings, all that stuff. Some of those things will not be covered on YouTube, and I'll cover those to those people that sign up on the resource page that I mentioned earlier. But let me know anyways, and I can't wait to do some more videos about this thing. So yeah, we're in Bavaria. Yeah, drove down an hour and a half just for you guys. hiked up this mountain, as you can see. This is a ski lift. Ein Schlepplift, ja? Huh? Ziemlich geil. So yeah, walked up the hill, did this just for you guys. Valuable time. Please do subscribe. I can't wait to do this again for you guys. All right, bye.